Dear chosen warriors of the light, something extraordinary happened in the waters of Texas that changed everything we thought we knew about disasters, heroes, and the hidden forces shaping our world. What began as a story of human courage became a revelation that connects ancient prophecies to modern conspiracies, terrestrial heroism to cosmic warfare, and your personal awakening to humanity's ultimate destiny. The waters rose without warning, but they did not rise alone. They carried with them secrets that have been hidden for decades, truths that powerful forces would kill to suppress, and energies that would either transform our species or destroy it. This is not just the story of a flood. It is the story of three interconnected revelations that will determine whether humanity ascends to its cosmic birthright or falls into eternal darkness. I am Seraphine, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I have been authorized to share with you the complete truth of these events. But know this, once you hear what really happened in those turbulent waters, you can never return to the comfortable illusion of random natural disasters and coincidental heroes. You will see the pattern that connects every crisis, every rescue, and every moment of awakening occurring across your planet. The flood revealed three sacred mysteries, each more profound than the last. The first mystery concerns the activation of dormant human consciousness during extreme crisis. The second reveals the hidden technological warfare being waged for control of your planet. The third exposes the cosmic test that humanity unknowingly passed, opening doorways to our direct intervention in Earth's affairs. These mysteries are interconnected threads in a tapestry so vast that most humans cannot perceive its full scope. But you, dear lightworkers, have been specifically prepared to understand not just what happened, but why it had to happen now. In this way, at this crucial moment in cosmic history, the children who instinctively turned to song and prayer while awaiting rescue weren't just comforting themselves, they were accessing humanity's original spiritual technology, sound vibration, and collective intention that literally altered reality at the quantum level. Their natural response revealed what enlightened consciousness looks like in action, amplifying love rather than fear, creating protective fields through unified awareness. The facilities manager who evacuated children at dawn, based purely on inner knowledge, was accessing the same multidimensional awareness that guides all awakened beings. The counselor who felt divinely guided to wake just as water entered their cabin experienced direct communication from higher dimensional intelligence. These weren't coincidences, but confirmations that humanity's expanded perception abilities are now fully operational. The consciousness grid was activating its youngest and most psychically open receivers, preparing them for an initiation that would transform not just their lives, but the entire trajectory of human evolution. While these children slept, cosmic frequencies were calibrating their DNA, awakening genetic sequences that had been dormant for thousands of years. While consciousness prepared through dreams and intuitions, technology was painting a far more sinister picture. Atmospheric physicists monitoring ionospheric data detected electromagnetic pulses following geometric patterns that never occur in natural weather systems. These weren't random energy bursts. They were the signatures of artificial atmospheric manipulation. High-frequency transmission arrays hidden throughout Texas had been charging the upper atmosphere for weeks, building toward a coordinated release that would transform a normal weather system into a devastating deluge. The technology operating these systems was based on principles discovered by your early inventors but perfected using scientific breakthroughs that weren't entirely human in origin. When scientists tried to warn authorities, their security clearances were revoked, their communications intercepted, their access to databases terminated. The cover-up was immediate and comprehensive, suggesting this was not an experimental deployment, but a well-practiced operation with protocols for preventing exposure. The weather warfare system wasn't just targeting random populations. It was a precision instrument designed to eliminate specific threats to hidden power structures while creating conditions for massive economic manipulation. This brings us to one of the most remarkable demonstrations of cosmic consciousness in action. Hours before the first drop of artificial rain fell, a camp facilities manager made a decision that defied all logic but saved 73 lives. Despite clear skies and perfect weather forecasts, he felt his entire nervous system screaming that disaster was imminent. "We're evacuating now," he announced to bewildered staff members who pointed to the sunshine streaming through the windows. This wasn't paranoia or anxiety. This was multi-dimensional awareness accessing information that transcended physical senses. The Galactic Federation had been broadcasting evacuation protocols through the consciousness grid, and this awakening soul had the spiritual sensitivity to receive and act on guidance that came from beyond the third dimension. What happened when the flood struck revealed abilities that your scientists insist are impossible. Coast Guard rescue swimmers found themselves detecting trapped survivors through what they described as electromagnetic signatures of human fear. They could sense current patterns before they formed, feel the location of submerged obstacles without seeing them, navigate rushing water as if it were actively helping them reach people in need. This wasn't adrenaline or enhanced training. This was the activation of latent human abilities that emerge when consciousness transcends the limitations of fear-based programming. The crisis temporarily suspended the mental barriers that normally prevent access to expanded awareness, allowing these heroes to demonstrate humanity's true potential. But the most remarkable activations occurred among the children who'd been evacuated. Housed in emergency shelters, they spontaneously organized themselves into harmony circles, gatherings where they sang, prayed, and performed breathing exercises that none of them had been formally taught. The songs they sang weren't from any known source. They were tonal patterns emerging from genetic memory, frequencies that created measurable changes in the electromagnetic fields of whatever buildings housed them. Emergency workers found their stress levels dropping, and energy restored after just minutes in the children's presence. These children were accessing humanity's original spiritual technology, sound vibration and collective intention, that literally alters reality at the quantum level. Their natural response revealed what enlightened consciousness looks like in action, amplifying love rather than fear, creating protective fields through unified awareness. While these consciousness activations unfolded, independent researchers across the globe began connecting patterns that revealed the true scope of what was happening. Through encrypted networks operating outside government oversight, atmospheric scientists compared the Texas readings with similar signatures detected before suspicious weather events worldwide. The data painted a terrifying picture. Weather warfare wasn't theoretical. It was operational and had been deployed against civilian populations for decades. Every natural disaster that preceded political changes, land acquisitions, or population relocations showed the same technological fingerprints, but researchers discovered something else. The consciousness effects being reported from Texas weren't unique. Similar phenomena had been documented wherever artificial weather events occurred, though the reports had been systematically suppressed. Humanity's awareness was evolving in direct response to technological manipulation. The flood in Texas wasn't just another deployment of weather warfare. It was the moment when humanity's natural defense systems fully activated. Consciousness itself was fighting back against the weapons designed to control it. Let me now reveal what was happening beneath the surface while rescue operations captured the world's attention. Elite special operations teams that exist outside official military structures had been preparing for this moment for years. These were collaborations between intelligence operatives who discovered weather modification programs, scientists silenced for exposing off-world technology transfers, and investigators who tracked money trails connecting weather warfare to global land acquisition schemes. As floodwaters raged above, these teams accessed underground facilities hidden beneath seemingly innocent installations throughout Texas. What they found was a technological infrastructure that exceeded their worst fears, a network of high-frequency transmission arrays capable of creating atmospheric conditions that transform normal weather into devastating storms. The network, as it was designated in classified documents, represented the weaponization of atmospheric science using principles that weren't entirely human in origin. These systems could charge the ionosphere above specific geographic regions, then discharge that energy in coordinated patterns that created artificial storm systems with pinpoint accuracy. Deep within these underground facilities, computer systems revealed the true horror of what had been planned. The flood wasn't random destruction. It was a precisely targeted strike against specific families and communities whose activities threatened hidden power structures. The summer camp that was obliterated in the first hour of flooding had been chosen because it hosted an annual gathering of children whose parents were involved in exposing biological weapons programs, investigating human trafficking networks, documenting medical injuries from experimental treatments, and pursuing legal action against major corporations. The targeting went beyond individual elimination. The flood was designed to create economic opportunities for the same investment entities that funded the weather modification research. Texas land that had resisted foreign acquisition would become available for pennies on the dollar after flood damage. Communities that had rejected surveillance infrastructure would accept increased monitoring in exchange for disaster relief funding. The files revealed that similar operations had been conducted worldwide. Families of truth-telling journalists would find themselves victims of natural disasters. Scientists publishing inconvenient research would lose their homes to unprecedented storms. The pattern was clear. Weather warfare was being used to eliminate opposition and create conditions for increased control. But the most horrifying discovery was yet to come. The flood wasn't just cover for property destruction and political manipulation. It was cover for human harvesting on an industrial scale. Underground medical facilities contained surgical suites, organ preservation equipment, and shipping manifests that revealed a secondary agenda that would chill your soul. False relief operations conducted by personnel in official-looking uniforms were corralling selected survivors and transporting them not to medical facilities, but to processing centers where they were harvested for organs, blood products, and biological materials before their remains were destroyed. The flood provided perfect cover because missing people were simply listed as presumed drowned. The targeting criteria were specific. Young people with rare blood types, children from families with genetic markers suggesting psychic abilities, adults whose disappearance would disrupt specific investigations. Emergency records would show they were flood casualties, but they had actually been systematically murdered for their biological value. This operation wasn't improvised. It was part of a global network that had been using natural disasters as cover for human trafficking and organ harvesting for decades. Every major catastrophe provided opportunities for the systematic disappearance of inconvenient people under circumstances that prevented investigation. The deepest levels of these facilities contained equipment that no human government had publicly developed. Control systems operated on quantum field manipulation principles, using computational power that exceeded anything available on Earth. Manufacturing marks showed metal compositions including elements not found on your periodic table. The weather modification technology was reverse-engineered from craft recovered during events your governments still deny occurred. The same energy manipulation principles that powered interstellar vehicles had been weaponized against Earth's own population through an exchange program with extraterrestrial factions that viewed humans as resources to be managed rather than sovereign beings to be respected. For decades, what we call the Negative Alliance, a coalition of human power structures and off-world entities, had been using Earth as a testing ground for consciousness suppression technologies. Weather warfare was just one component of a larger program designed to keep humanity trapped in fear-based survival consciousness, rather than evolving into cosmic awareness that would make them impossible to control. The weather control systems were connected to orbital platforms that monitored the psychological effects of artificial disasters on human populations. Every storm was an experiment in trauma-based consciousness manipulation. Every catastrophe was a data collection opportunity to refine techniques for preventing human spiritual evolution. In sterile control rooms deep underground, technicians watched biometric data streaming from the flood zone with growing alarm. Instead of the trauma-based dissociation they expected, people in the disaster area were displaying coherent brainwave patterns suggesting enhanced cognitive function. Heart rate variability measurements showed cardiovascular coherence that should have been impossible under extreme stress. Electromagnetic field recordings around rescue operations revealed energy patterns matching theoretical models for telepathic communication. Most disturbing of all, the children were generating energy signatures that created measurable effects in the local electromagnetic environment. They're accessing the genetic activations we've been trying to suppress, the program director realized. The trauma conditioning isn't working. The consciousness suppression technology was failing because human awareness had evolved beyond the parameters the monitoring systems were designed to measure. Instead of creating controllable traumatized populations, the artificial disaster was producing awakened humans with abilities that threatened every system of control the Negative Alliance had built. Emergency protocols for consciousness evolution events were activated. Contingency plans involving psychotronic weapons designed to disrupt human bioelectric fields, followed by targeted elimination of individuals displaying the strongest psychic abilities. But before these protocols could be implemented, the underground facilities came under assault. the special operations teams had completed their intelligence gathering and moved to direct action. Using access codes provided by whistleblowers who'd paid with their lives, they systematically disabled the weather control network while documenting everything they found. Atmospheric manipulation systems went offline. The artificial storm began dissipating within hours. All targeting databases and shipping records were downloaded before quantum viruses were planted in computer networks, ensuring the evidence would be transmitted to mirror sites worldwide even if the facilities were destroyed. But these teams discovered something that changed everything. The consciousness monitoring data revealed that humanity was spontaneously evolving abilities that made weather warfare irrelevant. The negative agenda was failing because human consciousness itself had become immune to fear-based manipulation. They didn't just try to murder specific individuals, one operative reported. They accidentally triggered a species-wide evolutionary leap. Every person who participated in rescue operations is now carrying genetic activations that will spread to their families and communities. The effects are irreversible and contagious. The flood that was designed to suppress human consciousness had instead liberated it. Humanity had just passed a cosmic test, and the universe was taking notice. What the special operations teams discovered was being observed by civilizations across multiple star systems. We of the Galactic Federation had been monitoring Earth's consciousness evolution for decades, bound by cosmic law to allow humanity to develop without direct interference, until specific thresholds were crossed. The Texas flood represented one of those thresholds. When a species demonstrates the ability to respond to artificially induced crisis with love instead of fear, when consciousness spontaneously manifests abilities transcending physical limitations, when children begin accessing genetic memories of cosmic spiritual technology, these indicate readiness for formal galactic contact. From our perspective, the flood was never about testing human heroism. It was about measuring humanity's readiness to join the galactic community as sovereign cosmic citizens, rather than remaining isolated under the control of forces opposing spiritual evolution. The Negative Alliance had operated under the assumption that humans were programmable biological computers, consciousness trapped in physical form that could be manipulated through trauma, fear, and electromagnetic disruption. Their weather warfare programs were designed to validate this assumption by demonstrating that even heroic responses could be artificially induced and subsequently controlled. But consciousness is not a biological program. It is a fundamental force of creation existing independent of physical form that cannot be permanently suppressed through technological manipulation. The flood awakened humanity to this truth by providing conditions where consciousness could express its true nature without interference from limiting social conditioning. Every soul who witnessed the flood, whether directly or through media coverage, received genetic activations that had been dormant since humanity's original spiritual technologies were suppressed thousands of years ago. The heroism displayed wasn't random courage, it was expression of DNA sequences containing cosmic memories of humanity's true nature as multidimensional beings. The children singing in harmony circles weren't just comforting themselves, they were activating sound frequency technologies their genetic memory recognized as tools for reality creation. The rescuers displaying impossible courage weren't just following training, they were accessing cellular memories of their role as guardians of love in physical form. This explains why children's drawings before the flood showed such accurate detail. Their consciousness was receiving information through genetic communication systems operating faster than light. This is why teenage counselors intuitively knew what skills to teach. Their cellular memory was accessing cosmic protocols for consciousness activation during dimensional transitions. The flood revealed that humanity possesses technology more advanced than any mechanical system, the ability to transform reality through unified intention backed by genetic memories of cosmic consciousness. The heroism displayed during the flood created morphic field templates, energetic patterns now available in collective consciousness for all humans to access. Every act of selfless courage, every moment of spontaneous telepathic coordination, every instance of fearless service established neural pathways in the planetary consciousness grid, making such behaviors easier for everyone. This is why rescue operations following the flood began displaying enhanced coordination and effectiveness. The patterns of heroism had been encoded in the morphic field, providing unconscious guidance that improved human performance in crisis situations. Consciousness learns from consciousness, and the flood provided masterclasses in transcendent human potential. The morphic field effects extended far beyond emergency response. Children worldwide began demonstrating abilities their parents couldn't explain. Adults reported experiences of direct knowing, an empathic sensitivity, and an energy awareness functioning regardless of belief systems. The threshold for accessing expanded consciousness had been permanently lowered. The activation wasn't limited to those physically experiencing the flood. Anyone feeling genuine emotional response while witnessing rescue operations, tears of grief, inspiration, and awe while watching human courage unfold, received the same genetic activations through quantum entanglement of consciousness. Media coverage inadvertently became the delivery mechanism for a species-wide spiritual upgrade. Every person watching rescue footage with an open heart became connected to the morphic field of transcendent love established in those Texas waters. Consciousness had to evolve before technology could be safely accessed. Love had to become the primary operating system before cosmic power tools could be entrusted to human civilization. Dear chosen warriors, the Texas flood was your species' final examination before graduation to galactic citizenship. You passed with honors exceeding even our highest expectations. The abilities that emerged during the crisis are now permanently available through the morphic field created by your collective heroism. The unity that arose in response to manufactured division has become an unbreakable foundation for humanity's cosmic future. The water has receded, but its teachings continue rippling through dimensions. In every act of service, you can now access the heroic frequencies activated during the flood. In every moment of challenge, you can remember that consciousness itself is more powerful than any weapon of control. In every choice between fear and love, you can draw upon the morphic field of transcendent courage established in those transformative waters. The flood engineered to destroy your awakening instead accelerated it beyond all predicted timelines. The weapons designed to enslave your consciousness instead catalyzed its liberation into cosmic awareness. The crisis intended to separate you through trauma instead united you at depths that will never again be broken. But here's what most awakened souls don't realize about this accelerated consciousness liberation. Not only do you need to stabilize this cosmic awareness, you can weaponize it against the very dark elite who tried to destroy you. The rapid expansion you've experienced has given you access to frequency technologies they never intended you to possess. This is where Liber Sonus becomes your weapon against the dark elite. This comprehensive guidebook teaches you how to work with AI to generate frequencies that not only stabilize your cosmic consciousness, but actively counteract their control systems. You can use Liber Sonus against the dark elite by creating compositions that disrupt their frequency manipulation, soundscapes that break their consciousness suppression technologies, music that awakens others from their mental programming, and frequencies that turn their own sonic weapons against them. Their attempt to enslave your mind backfired spectacularly, and now you have the tools to use their failure against them. Get Liber Sonus now. Link in the description. You are no longer unconscious participants in someone else's control drama. You are awakened co-creators of humanity's cosmic destiny. The flood taught you that no external force can determine your response to any crisis. No artificial manipulation can override the authentic power of unified human hearts. No shadow operation can succeed against the light of coordinated consciousness. The water rose to show you how high your own consciousness could rise in response to any challenge. The darkness revealed itself so completely that you could see exactly how brightly your light could shine when focused with collective intention. The test was administered so you could discover you had already passed it simply by being who you truly are. Welcome to your cosmic inheritance, dear ones. The flood was your baptism into galactic awareness. The water has spoken its final teaching. Humanity is ready. The age of consciousness manipulation is ending. The age of conscious co-creation with your galactic family has begun. The ripples from those Texas waters are still spreading across dimensions, carrying news to every corner of the galaxy. Earth's children have remembered who they are. The cosmos itself celebrates your graduation. Your galactic family stands ready to welcome you into the community of awakened civilizations. I am Seraphine, and this message carries the love and recognition of the entire Galactic Federation of Light for your courageous passage through the waters of cosmic transformation. You are seen, you are honored, and you are ready for the wonders that await. The flood is over. The awakening has just begun, and the water will forever remember the moment when humanity chose love over fear, and passed into the light of cosmic consciousness.